so many people who are buying this DVD are going to be interested in Phyllis Diller. So how, if you were to go back to how you started, the decision to go into this business, where it all began with you?
You know, it's just amazing, as I have looked back over my career, how many times I have done monster things. In one cartoon movie, I was married to Frankenstein, which made real sense. And another one, I was kind of a witch type, and it seems that I'm drawn to these craziness. Well, if it's crazy, I'm drawn to it anyway, you know. And the Boneyard, the name of it alone. Another thing that I was drawn to it in the movie was that this lady that I play, who's in charge of the morgue at night, ooh, she loves classical music and she has a dog. And her companion at night is her poodle. And she loves classical music, and of course there's no one there but her and the stiffs. So she has a lovely night every night. Also, it's the only movie in the world where I play with my own hair.
And what was the story? How did that evolve?
Well, they wanted me to look as bad as possible. And I do. And I look even bad before I turn into a monster. I mustn't give all this away.
I'm sure you can.
You think I can? Well, they used a poodle that probably belonged to a friend. Big mistake. The poodle was old and heavy, and I'm not that strong. I had difficulty every time I had to lift that damn poodle, because the poodle weighed about 4 tons, and hard to hold. And then they kept warning me, he's not well. That's a big help, isn't it? Now I got a sick poodle that I can't lift because he's too fat. They should have got me a little teacup poodle. I could have thrown him around and had some fun. And dear Norman Fell is in the movie, and it was fun working with him. Yeah, the building had, what I forget now when we were shooting, but it must have been some kind in the winter, and we were all freezing. But what I felt, the stars, darling, got to sit around a little stove. This is prehistoric, you know, sitting around a stove in a freezing building, an old hospital. But the children who were playing the little
zombies
or something, I don't know who they were, scary little brats. Anyway, they were nude, poor little babies, in this freezing cold, because they were made up, you know, body makeup, and the poor things up there were a terrible thing.
And
but I know they all lived, and they're probably very proud to have been in a movie. Well, Puppenplatz, right. I loved the name. I just loved the name, Miss Puppenplatz. Obviously an old maid, a spinster. Obviously a woman who probably had never had a beau or a male friend, just the dog and her music. But she was a sweet old bitch. And while we were making the movie, this whole thing is so decadent. I was staying in something that was a hotel, but has been changed into an old folks' home. I was there just before they made the decision. I think I was a part of it. Mm-hmm. She looks so good here. Why don't we make it just for old people? Oh, but the food was great. Southern cooking, you can't beat it. And the graciousness, the Southern graciousness. And I had a fireplace in my suite. You know, I love these touches. I must tell you, I enjoyed the movie, and I actually like watching it. And it's just out of this world. It's a monster film. It's a cult film, if there ever was one. And if I ever want to scare my grandchildren, I'll play this one.
Do you remember any experiences of them creating the giant mutant Phyllis Diller that appears at the end?
There was a model who did some things that I couldn't do physically, like fall down, and he was very good. And there was one place where I had to put things in my mouth and throw up, which I found just absolutely disgusting. But anyway, when you do a movie, you do whatever they've got in the works for you, and it isn't all kissy, 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 especially with poop and plats.
And vomit.
Yes, that's right. No kissy, kissy there. But pretty much everybody turns into a monster in this movie.
Was there the process of molding your face and creating the creation of the? Is there anything you can share about the creation?
Well, you have to bow to the makeup artists who are able to take your face and turn it into a monstrous thing. Nature tried it with me, but I found a plastic surgeon who helped a lot. And it was sort of scary to go back to the old face and after having fixed it.
Yeah.
But anything for the movies, right?
What was your reaction when you saw that for the first time?
I loved it. I just thought it was great fun, great fun. You go along with it. It's fun. It's one thing to go to the movies and have you dolled up every day, and of course the makeup artists do their very best to make you look beautiful. So this is kind of a reverse thing, but I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot. One day, while being driven to the hotel from the set, we went past the county courthouse, and there was Jim Baker in handcuffs, being finally stuck in the pokey. And of course, in a little town, and this was a little town in North Carolina, Statesville. That was one of the big excitements of the making of the whole movie, that somebody got it, who deserved it, and Tammy Faye wasn't there. She was home doing her face.
Now, she's got her movie coming out now. You know that?
Yeah, one of her eyelashes fell off one day, broke her foot. Oh, dear. She's sweet, though. I met her and her new husband, Messner, or whatever his name is, and he's now been thrown into jail. She just marries people who are going to get the pokey. And I guess it's one way of getting rid of them.
Let's talk about you and your career. Prior, or pre and post Boneyard, actually both. But can you talk a little bit about how you started in the entertainment business?
Well, yes, now...
Because there's going to be a lot of fans who want to know about, you.
This is my 45th year in show biz. And I was forced into show business by my first husband, who thought I was terribly funny. And he forced me, absolutely pushed me off the diving board into the deep end. And I had an audition, and I got a job as a female comic at a little boîte in San Francisco called the Purple Onion, and I was off and running. Once I got started, there was no stopping me, because I was a very hard worker, and once I throw my hat in the ring, I'm committed. I'll do everything I can to stay afloat. And I have enjoyed these 45 years more than I can say.
Boy, the experiences, just that jumping off the diving board, have brought you in your life. My gosh.
It took courage and guts to stay with it, because there were a lot of setbacks along the way. I was fired from shows and fired from here and fired from there, and with real matches. And but I always managed to keep it going, and because I had made up my mind, and I've had a wonderful career, and I've worked with so many wonderful people, great people, some of the old greats that are rather dead.
Can you go into or name a few of the highlights and the people who have made your life just,
I enjoyed working with Jack Benny, and the sketches were always such fun. Even Jimmy Durante and dear old George Burns, who made it to 100. Milton Berle, he's directed me, and we've worked together. We've played husband and wife, and he's just a love. And I think it's noteworthy that these comics live to be so old. It is amazing. And you see, there's more men comics, especially in my field, than there are women. I worked with Lucy. She played my mother. She'd hate me for saying that. And it's been a long, fun road.
What advice would you have for young comedians starting out?
A young comedian starting out should very early make positively sure that you're funny. Because if you aren't, you will never make it, no matter how hard you work.
How do you find out if you're funny?
An audience. Have work out in front of many, many audiences as often as you can, wherever there's an audience. Offer your services. Work in front of audiences. And if you don't have a feel for it and they don't laugh, better take up accounting.
Do you think you have an approach to life?
Oh yes, I do have an approach to life. It's very scientific. I don't believe that when I die I'm going to go anyplace. When I die I'm going to be dead. And therefore, that makes you appreciate this life a lot, because I feel that's all there is. Some people are horrified with that idea, but it's my idea, and I don't try to force it on anyone. It's just that I have reached a wonderful state of being, which is all I can ask. I am happy. I have everything I've ever dreamed of having. A family, love, friendship, a career, and good health.
And you continue to work. You're the busiest person. I mean, fitting this in. What you want to talk about? I mean, what you have in the future? What's going on now?
I am busy. I'm so busy. I just keep it going. I'm scheduled in Las Vegas and not Branson. I'm scheduled right now into 2001, which to me, for an 83-year-old lady to be on her feet and kicking around in airports, to me it's exciting.
It's wonderful.
When I first started in the business of showbiz, as a lone person, I talked about children, and it was modern education was the thing. And I had a daughter who I talked about her not knowing anything about algebra, not knowing anything about algebra, but she could milk a yak. And of course she's out of work. And then I used to put on, I used props. It took me 3 years or more to become a stand-up comic. That's the male world of comedy, where you work alone. It's not a female word, any way to do it. But you see, where you work alone in one without props. But see, I started out using props, anything to get a laugh. I had hats and glasses and jabots. I did the Dean of Women, and yes, and I did characters, and I sang, and I played my saxophone. I played the piano. I did a little dance on the top of the piano. I did anything. But when I made fun of current fashions. You can always do that. However, getting men to laugh, of course, they laugh at current fashions anyway. I guess I was on the right track. I had a fur hat that was on the cover of Vogue, and I called Harper's Bazaar, the magazine for bizarre harpies. I'll never forget this hat. It was so furry, and I said something about my chest having fur on it. It's flat, but it's fluffy. I just had nonsense. It wouldn't work now. Now I go with solid comical lines, and even a lot of talk about current people who are alive who are funny, or you can make them sound funny. All of the female stand-up comics, I won't say all, but many of them, bow in my direction and thank me for kicking the door open, because it's a fun thing to do. And if you're a funny woman, it's a wonderful outlet.
Do you have any favorites coming up and coming comics?
I have so many that I'm madly in love with. Joy Behar is the greatest. She is so brilliant. And there's a lot of them. There's Janine Garofalo and Rita Rudner, Wendy Liebman. Joan Rivers, of course, was the first. She came right after me, and we're great friends, and she's a very funny woman. She's terribly bright, you know. She's Phi Beta Kappa. Phi Beta Kappa, please. She could probably be a brain surgeon.
At least milk a yak.
Yeah, that's right. I bet she could milk a yak, too. Of course, I will say comedy is harder than brain surgery.
Much harder. I guess one other quick question too about
Yes.
You've also transitioned in dramatic roles.
I love dramatic roles, and I wish I had more of a chance. But you do get typecast. There's no doubt about it. Even people picture me in my real life with crazy boots and whatever I wear on stage in that comic persona which I've invented. They picture me that way in all my life, which is not really true. I mean, I'm just a normal person, properly dressed, you know, not craziness. But this is the way you get typecast. Because I would love to play dramatic roles. A role that I could have played that no one would ever have considered me for was driving Miss Daisy. Touching, heartwarming. If I did it, it would be driving Miss Doozy.